Pam stood behind the glass partition of the deli counter, watching the clock inch closer to 9 o'clock. The pin holding together the torn sleeve and side seam of her Early's grocery blouse dug into her side, and she couldn't wait to shed the polyester uniform. Absent-mindedly, she reached to twirl her wedding ring, a nervous habit she'd picked up recently, only to remember it was lost. She always removed the simple ring to clean the apartment, placing it in a little ceramic jar her father had given her during a trip to New Orleans. But after cleaning and taking a bath, the ring had vanished. Despite searching the entire apartment with Tim, it was nowhere to be found. Tim had promised to buy her another one, but hadn't yet. A couple with a stroller caught Pam's eye. The man was tall, around 6 feet or a bit more, and wore a t-shirt that highlighted his muscular torso and tight jeans that hugged his legs. As they turned the corner, Pam noted his firm backside. The woman, dressed in a snug hospital gown, was short and round like Pam. Her blonde hair, reaching just above her knees, was tangled in knots, likely from being pinned up at work. Pam admired the woman's hair color, wondering if she could replicate that reddish-blonde hue the next time she dyed her own hair. With 20 minutes left before her shift ended, Pam had already prepped most of the meats and cheeses for packing. No, just a tray of meat and cheese, baby," the woman said. "I ate at 6, and I know you ate at what? 6? 7? "About 6, the man confirmed, glancing over his shoulder at Pam. The woman smiled, her green eyes twinkling. "Hi." "Hey, need help?" Pam smiled back. "OMG, I know you probably hear this all the time, but you look like a doll I had as a child," the woman exclaimed. "Cupid doll," Pam replied. "That's it," the woman said cheerfully. "Like I said, you probably hear it all the time, but I swear it's true." "Yes, it is," Pam agreed with a nod. She'd heard it all her life. With her round face, big brown eyes, small nose, and butterfly lips, Pam's pale complexion was complemented by her round cheeks and chin. "What happened to your blouse?" the woman asked, noticing the torn fabric and Pam's clumsy attempts to fix it. Pam's smile faded. Her husband Tim had been demanding money. But the rent was due tomorrow, and with Tim's inexplicable layoff from Super One Foods, Pam had just enough to cover the $525 payment. Their next paycheck was still 2 weeks away, and if they didn't pay the rent on time, they'd be evicted before then. Pam's mother had warned her not to move out of their trailer and live with impulsive Tim, but at 18, Pam thought she knew better. Then her period was delayed, and they rushed to the St. Elizabeth Parish Courthouse to marry under Judge Jesse Johnson. Her mother had objected to Pam living with Tim and was even more opposed to their marriage. A few days after the wedding, Pam got her period, but Tim said he would have asked her to marry him anyway. Tim was impulsive, loud, and brash, but he loved Pam just as she was, never wanting her to lose an ounce. However, lately, their relationship had been strained with constant fighting. "No, Tim," Pam had said. "Remember? We have to pay the rent tomorrow, and I have—" "Forget the rent," Tim growled, grabbing her by the front of her work blouse. "$200, huh? Just give me $200. "Tim, let me go," Pam yelled. During the struggle, her blouse was torn. "Claire, it's none of your business how her shirt got ripped," the young man smiled, playfully pinching Claire's back. "Well, I know it's none of my business, Dave, but I'm just curious," Claire laughed. "Anyway, do you have a meat and cheese tray for the party? Is it ready yet?" Dave asked, peering through the glass at the deli offerings. "No, we make them when they're ordered. All of our holiday trays are fresh," Pam said, using the standard response for customers. "We just bought a house, and this is our first night in our new home," Claire recounted. "I'm sure she cares," Dave smiled. "Shut up and go get us some champagne or something," Claire laughed happily. "A tray for how many?" Pam asked, a smile returning to her round face. "2? Oh, 3. I don't know. Do you have plans after your shift?" Claire asked. "Huh?" Pam said, surprised. "No, just going home." After her fight with Tim, she had walked almost 2 miles from their apartment. Their cell phones were disconnected. Tim swore he had paid the bill, but regardless, they had no service. Pam had no way to call him for a ride and didn't want to admit her mother had been right. She didn't want to call her mother, admit they had no phone service, and ask for money to reconnect it. So, unless Tim was waiting for her on the street, or Tommy Collins, the lecherous manager at Ranny's grocery store, offered her a ride, Pam faced a 2-mile walk home in the dark. "Oh, you must come. You must see our new home," Claire pleaded. "Okay, they have St. Elizabeth champagne, and I grabbed some St. Elizabeth rum," Dave said, stacking 2 bottles in the cart. "Tell her, Dave. Tell her she must come see our new house," Claire insisted. "Oh, good," the man smiled, reading Pam's nameplate. "Miss Pam, my wife says you should come see our new house." Pam hesitated for a moment, then shrugged. "So, a holiday tray for 3, she confirmed, quickly assembling the tray. "Crackers are in aisle 5. I like Keebler Elf," she said, sliding the plastic-wrapped tray onto a styrofoam plate. "Oh, I like them too," Claire agreed. "Baby, go get them, okay?" Dave pushed the stroller away while Claire smiled at Pam. "So, do you want to follow us, or—" "I don't have a car," Pam admitted. "Oh, well, we'll wait. We're in the white tundra," Claire said. "Let me catch up with him before he grabs the wrong crackers." The couple picked up a few other items needed for their new home, including a 6-pack of toilet paper, and then paid for their groceries. "So, you want to tell me why we're inviting a stranger into our new home?" Dave smiled as he helped Claire into the truck. "She's gorgeous," Claire whispered. "Yeah, almost as gorgeous as you," Dave agreed, jogging to the driver's side. At 9 o'clock, Pam hurriedly stowed all the meats and cheeses in the refrigerator, then stepped outside. She spotted the big white truck, but Tim was nowhere in sight. Though her heart felt heavy, Pam smiled and trotted toward the truck. "Hey, that didn't take long," Claire said as Dave opened the back door. "Yeah, I'm almost done," Pam admitted. She didn't question if it was safe to go with a couple she'd just met, or if it was wise to go to an unfamiliar place. She briefly considered stopping by the apartment to see if Tim wanted to join, but quickly dismissed the thought. "Well, the hell with it," she thought. "Calling me a cow? To hell with it." "By the way, I really like your hair," Claire said. "Thanks," Pam replied, adjusting her blonde cap. "I did it myself." "I'd love to just cut all mine off, but my husband says that would be grounds for divorce," Claire said. "Here we are," Dave said, pulling up to a small house nestled among other modest homes on the border of Bender and Degard, Louisiana. Pam admired the neat lawn, the freshly painted garage door, and the pristine front door of the wooden house. 1220 Arrow Road, Claire called out as Dave opened the door. "Come on in," Dave smiled cheerfully. Claire looked at him expectantly. "What?" Dave asked. "Maybe carry me across the threshold?" Claire suggested. "Honey, I've been moving furniture all day," Dave complained, but obediently picked his wife up and carried her into the house. Pam was about to follow the laughing couple when suddenly Dave returned to the porch. "Stop!" Pam shrieked as Dave, a complete stranger, picked her up and carried her across the threshold. "There you go," Dave said to Claire as he set Pam down in the living room. "Satisfied?" "Come on, I'll show you the house," Claire said, grabbing Pam's hand. Pam admired the front bedroom with its twin bed, low dresser, and sewing machine in the corner. "Is that for work?" she asked, pointing to the sewing machine. "Yes, I made all the curtains," Claire said. The hall bathroom had a pedestal sink, a small commode, and a clawfoot tub. "I can't wait to take a bubble bath," Claire admitted, hugging Pam around her waist. Pam sized up Claire, noticing they were eye to eye. "Better fill it only half full," Pam commented. "Shut up. I'm not that small." Claire laughed. "Yes, you are," Pam said. "Honey, you look gorgeous," Claire exclaimed as they emerged from the bathroom. "He's been unpacking all day," she told Pam. The second bedroom also had a small bed, a low dresser, and a closet. The master bedroom featured a double bed, a low dresser, a chest of drawers, and a large LCD TV mounted on the wall. "Oh, you turned on the TV," Claire said cheerfully. "Sure did," Dave acknowledged, holding out 3 plastic cups. "Champagne." "Wee," laughed Claire. "To our new home," Dave said, clinking his cup against Claire's. "To our new home," Claire agreed. "May it always be filled with love and laughter," Pam suggested. "Oh," Claire exclaimed, touching her cup to Pam's. Amen. And may it always be filled with love and laughter, Dave echoed, tapping his cup to Pam's. And friends, Claire added. This is the same St. Elizabeth's champagne? It's very nice, Pam remarked. Yes, it is, Dave confirmed. And here is the master bathroom, Claire said, leading Pam into the bathroom. In the living room, 2 upholstered armchairs, an upholstered ottoman, and a long couch furnished the space. The couch faced the brick fireplace, while the armchairs faced the back window. Dave was already seated in one of the armchairs when Pam and Claire entered the living room. Pam and Claire sat down on the couch, and Claire slipped off her nurse's shoes, tucking her feet underneath her. They finished their champagne and quickly devoured the holiday tray and the box of crackers. Pam learned that Dave and Claire were both 21 years old, had been married for 2 years, and had dated for less than a month before getting married. We just knew, as soon as we met, we knew it was the right thing to do, Claire said. Pam also learned that Claire worked in the emergency room at St. Elizabeth's Trauma Center, and Dave worked offshore. I'm on a 3-day shift, Claire said. And I just got back to work. I have 14 days on and 7 off, Dave added. Pam moved over to set her empty cup on the coffee table. Do you mind if I fix this for you? Claire asked, causing Pam to shriek as she lightly touched Pam's bare skin through the tear in her blouse. Baby, get my robe. Did you find it? Bring her my robe, Claire ordered, helping Pam to her feet. In the first bedroom, Claire started up the sewing machine. Dave came in with a big fluffy robe, placed it on the bed, and closed the bedroom door behind him. Now that's a man, isn't it? Claire said proudly. Pam felt a bit awkward taking off her work blouse in front of a stranger, but steeled herself and did it. Claire smiled, taking the slightly sweaty garment from Pam. Pam quickly put on the robe over her polyester slacks and lace bra. She wore a 42A cup bra, and her waist measured 39 inches in circumference. Much of her fat was concentrated on her thighs and hips, which measured 43 inches around. Claire found a ballpoint needle and quickly, skillfully mended the tear. I really like your hair. It looks so good on you, she said, inspecting her work. Pam had previously cut her light brown and dark blonde hair to about 1 inch long, though she missed some strands, as holding the scissors up for so long was difficult. She then dyed her hair a straw color, which her mother dubbed trailer park blonde. She had lightened her eyebrows with hydrogen peroxide, but Tim had somehow cut his hand and poured the entire vial on the wound, and he never told her how he cut his hand. Thanks, Pam smiled, reaching for a longer strand. I'll do it myself. She rubbed her eyebrows. And you can tell it's paint, she whispered, and Claire smiled broadly at that admission. Claire's eyes briefly flicked to Pam's crotch, then back up to Pam's eyes before she turned to make another pass with the needle. Claire then handed Pam the mended blouse and turned off the sewing machine. What size bra do you wear? Claire asked as Pam disentangled herself from the robe. I'm a size 42. Me too, Pam agreed. And I swear, if it weren't for my nipples, I wouldn't need a bra at all, Claire admitted. Same here, Pam agreed. In that tight thing, I had to put it on or everyone would be staring at my nipples. Maybe I should get in the truck, Claire said. Pam hesitated for a moment, then unfastened her bra, exposing her small breasts with large, light brown nipples. She stuffed the bra into the pocket of her work pants. Pam slipped into her work blouse and buttoned it just below her throat. Claire, I made you a rum and coke, Dave said as both women returned to the living room. Where's mine? Pam teased. Yes, Dave Michael Carmouche. Where's Pam's? Claire teased. I didn't know if she wanted one, he smiled. Oh, Claire did a great job. You can't even tell it was mended. Dave made Pam a drink and returned with it, along with a beer for himself. So, how did you two meet? Pam asked, pulling her tennis shoes off and tucking her legs under her on the couch. I've been on a date, Claire said. Have you ever eaten at Sweet Pea? Anyway, I went with my girlfriend who wanted to try some soul food, and they were just having a put-out steak day and... Wait, what? Pam asked, not sure she'd heard correctly. I'm bisexual, Claire admitted. So we're sitting there, and this really amazing man comes over to our table uninvited. I walk into the restaurant, love the fried steak, and there's this gorgeous strawberry blonde sitting there, and Dave picked up the story. He's full of it. Claire smiled broadly, placing her hand on Pam's chubby arm. How much did I weigh? Easily over 200 pounds? I wasn't a beauty. You were amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, breathtaking, and awesome. Can you say I was blown away? Dave corrected. He's what we in polite circles call a puffin chaser, Claire whispered loudly, smiling. What's that called in impolite circles? Dave teased. Fatty, Claire giggled. Anyway, he said he wouldn't leave until he got my phone number. I gave it to him, and he went and sat with a couple of his buddies. But the whole time, I couldn't take my eyes off him, and he just kept looking at me and... Probably really pissed off his girlfriend, huh? Pam suggested. Wouldn't even talk to me, Claire admitted, her smile fading a bit. She gently squeezed Pam's bicep. In fact, I haven't seen Heather since that night. She then tickled Pam's arm, where her blouse was draped. That's enough, Pam giggled. But you never told us how you tore your blouse, Claire reminded her. Pam lost her smile and recounted her fight with Tim. Does your husband take drugs? Dave asked. No, Pam declared firmly. His older brother almost died from that stuff. Are you sure? Claire asked softly. This behavior sounds like drugs. No, he can't. Pam objected weakly. Okay, but I'll give you my phone number. If he does that again, you call us. You hear? Said Claire. No phone, Pam admitted quietly. No phone. Then how did you... Claire asked, puzzled. We had phones. He said he paid the bill, but... Pam trailed off weakly. Honey, it does sound like drugs, Dave said softly. Anyone else in your house? Asked Claire. No, Pam replied. You're not going home today, Claire decided. Honey, you can't make that decision for her. It's her husband, Dave said gently to his wife. Please? Claire pleaded with Pam. But where would I stay? Pam asked. We have plenty of room. You'll stay here, Claire insisted. Dave will take you home in the morning and make sure everything is in order. What time do you work tomorrow? Claire's off. Oh, wait. You're not going tomorrow, right? Anyway, I'll drive you. Do you mind? Suggested Dave. Come by at 2 o'clock, Pam said. But I think I'll be at the box office. Where's that robe? Go put the robe on. I've got a load to do. Oh, wait. Dave, have you hooked up the washer and dryer yet? Claire asked. This won't take me more than a minute, Dave said, rising to his feet. No, really, it's fine, Pam protested. But Dave made his way through the kitchen to the garage, and Claire pulled Pam back into the front bedroom. Okay. Are you going to hang the bras up to dry, or can I throw them in the dryer when they're done? Asked Claire, pulling off her scrubs. Dryer, Pam said, glancing at Claire's neatly organized clothing pile. Okay, everything's plugged in, Dave called out from the living room. Never mind, Claire smiled as she opened the door to the room. Claire, walking around like that in front of company? Dave teased mockingly as his wife stepped outside in her robe, followed by Pam. What? Claire smiled mischievously. Seeing you like that, you know what I'm going to want to do, Dave said. In front of a complete stranger? I dare you, Claire teased. She squealed as Dave jumped to his feet. No, no, don't, Claire shouted, laughing as she ran to the garage door. Too late, Dave exclaimed, easily lifting her off her feet. Help me, Pam, help me, squealed Claire as Dave kissed her. What do you want me to do? Pam asked, laughing. Stop him, Claire said, kissing her husband. Stop that, Pam ordered, playfully slapping Dave's back. Whoa, 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 stop it, Dave teased, hugging his wife. Now put me down. We need to start getting dressed, Claire said, playfully tapping Dave's nose. You're a very attractive woman, you know that, said Dave, kissing her again and setting her on the floor. The floor is cold, squeaked Claire as her bare feet touched the concrete. Good God, get them over here, laughed Dave. Thanks, honey, Claire said. She pulled Pam back to the couch and sat her down. Pam felt a little uncomfortable around the other woman, but appreciated her kindness. We use hypoallergenic laundry detergent, Dave said as he returned to the living room. I have to because I work, Claire said. That's okay. I used to use that Gain stuff, Pam said. Really, Claire, go get dressed, Dave said, sitting back down. Why? Don't like seeing me in this robe? Asked Claire, smiling. I love admiring you, but we have company, Dave said. Do you mind? Claire asked Pam. No, not really, Pam stammered. Pam tucked her legs under her and finished her rum and coke. There you go, Claire said, sticking her tongue out at her husband. They kissed for a few moments, then she sat up, pulling against him. Fine, Claire said, rocked a little on her husband's lap, and then rose to her feet. While she was out of the room, Dave and Pam chatted about mundane things, how much DeHard and Bender had grown since the hospital opened, how Rano's grocery store was competing with 2 large chain supermarkets, and how the new parish president didn't seem to know what he was doing. Feeling better now? Claire asked upon returning. Not really, Dave replied, watching his wife twirl around in her baby doll-style nightie. Men, Claire chuckled, settling onto the couch and placing a hand on Pam's forearm. They're never satisfied. Pam thought of Tim and silently agreed with Claire's observation. Tell me about it, she said. You're stunning. Can I kiss you? Claire whispered, gently grasping Pam's forearm. Pam looked at the beautiful woman in surprise. She knew Claire was bisexual. It had come up earlier in the evening. But Pam hadn't considered that Claire might find her attractive. Pam had never been particularly drawn to other women. She could admire a model for her attire rather than her physical features. In Tim's Parasol magazines, Pam focused on the cooking column and the short stories. After the kiss, Claire proposed to Pam that they become intimate. Pam agreed, and Dave joined them. The next morning, Pam woke up to the pleasant aroma of coffee. Without hesitation, she rushed to the bathroom. Feeling relieved, she recalled the lovemaking from the previous evening. That was lovemaking, she reassured herself. I have nothing to be ashamed of and nothing to regret, she affirmed firmly, drying her hands. When she emerged, Dave was arranging a stack of pillows for a smiling Claire. Here she comes, he grinned, and Pam felt a sudden urge to cover her body somehow. Breakfast is served, Claire announced. I'm not sure how you like your eggs, but we prefer them sunny side up, Dave said, adding a few more pillows for Pam. Back in bed, Pam pulled the blankets up to her belly as Dave placed the tray on her lap. On the plate sat a fluffy waffle, 3 eggs, and 6 strips of bacon. Coffee's on the table, Claire pointed with her fork. And warm syrup right here, Dave added, carrying his own tray into the bedroom. This breakfast certainly outshone the cereal and raisins she might have had that morning. Shoot, Pam suddenly exclaimed. Tim asked me to bring home a gallon of milk. It's run out. What? Claire asked, sounding concerned. I forgot to get milk, Pam chuckled. We can pick some up on the way, Dave offered. No, forget him. He has a car, Pam said, dipping her bacon into the syrup. He knows where the store is. After breakfast, Pam took a shower, declining Claire's offer of assistance. Then she dressed in her work uniform and kissed the still-naked Claire goodbye. In the truck, she guided Dave on how to reach the apartment building. They chatted about various topics as he drove the 3 miles from 1220 Arrow Road to the apartment complex. The 1999 Toyota Camry wasn't in the parking lot, which relieved Pam. She dreaded the impending conversation. Her mind raced, searching for a suitable excuse. Anything but, I spent the night with a couple and made love to them. Maybe if Tim wasn't home, she wouldn't need to cover up her infidelity. A glimmer of hope emerged. Perhaps her husband had found a job. Maybe that explained why his car wasn't there. She declined Dave's offer to accompany her. Pam rummaged through her purse and found her keys. Are you sure you're all right? Dave asked. Yes. She tried to smile, though it faltered. Leaning over the console, she kissed him gently. Dave waited until Pam opened the apartment door. Then he sat back, waiting another minute just to be sure. As she entered the small apartment, Pam noticed an unpleasant odor. Her heart pounded with dread. It shouldn't smell like this. She had cleaned just 2 days ago. Tim lay on the couch, wearing only jeans. Tim? Pam ventured, unsure if he was awake. Huh? Tim grumbled, attempting to sit up. Tim? Where's the car? Pam inquired. Huh? Tim mumbled, finally lifting his head to look at her. The car? Tim, where's the car? Pam pressed again. What? Tim asked dumbly. What time? Our car. It's not parked outside, Pam stated loudly. What happened to our car? It's not our car, Tim snapped angrily. My car. My car. Got it? Pam hoped Dave was still nearby. She headed toward the apartment door. And hey, where the hell have you been, huh? Tim demanded, struggling to get up. Hey, where are you going? Dave messaged Claire to ask if there was anything he needed to pick up before heading home. He smiled, reversed the car, and prepared to leave the parking lot. His pace slowed as he saw Pam swing open the apartment door and frantically wave at him. That doesn't look good, Dave muttered. What? Who the hell is... You better get out of here, Tim yelled, approaching. I need to get some things, Pam told Dave. I told you to get the fuck out of here. This is my place. Don't you dare come into mine. Where are you going? Tim shouted. The neighbor to the left hammered on the wall. You don't even speak English, huh? Tim yelled at the wall, remembering his wife was home and frustrated with her. He turned towards the bedroom to find her. Suddenly, the stranger shoved him hard, sending Tim sprawling backward onto the couch. The neighbor tapped the wall with the hammer again. Dave effortlessly blocked Tim's erratic swing and gently pushed him back onto the couch. Don't get up again, Dave warned. Tim, where's my... Never mind, here he is, Pam called from the kitchen. That's my wife. My wife. Don't you dare come in here. Tim growled at Dave. Ready, Pam huffed, dragging an overflowing garbage bag across the carpet. Where are you going? Tim shouted, rising to his feet. He grunted as Dave pushed him back onto the couch once more. For the last time, Tim! Where's the car? Pam demanded tearfully. Why did you get fired from Super One? And where's my ring? Fuck you, Tim hissed at her. Goodbye, Tim, Pam said. Get out, Tim yelled. Huh? Like anyone else needs your fat, ugly ass? Dave easily lifted the heavy bag of trash. Pam led him out of the apartment. Thank goodness I was with you, Tim shouted. Pam remained silent as Dave helped her into the truck and placed the bag of trash at her feet. It'll be okay, he reassured her. He texted Claire that he was bringing Pam home. Her response was a simple yay with a string of smiley faces. I think you'd better take me to Mom's, Pam whispered as Dave started the car. And disappoint my wife? Dave joked. Not a chance. Claire was in a cheery mood until she saw Pam's face. What's wrong? What happened? She demanded. Pam hugged her tightly and broke into heartbreaking sobs. At noon, Claire gently woke Pam from her nap and guided her to the kitchen. The three of them sat down to eat soup and tuna salad sandwiches. Will you be okay going to work? Claire asked, looking into Pam's teary eyes. I have to. I was supposed to be off, but Dominique asked me to cover for her, Pam muttered. Here's my phone, Claire said, handing her cell across the table. Dave's number 1. If you need us, just press number 1 and we'll come right over, okay? Dave drove Pam to Runners, keeping an eye on Tim as he pulled into the parking lot. Despite her emotional devastation, Pam managed to get through the day. As she stepped out of the house, a profound sense of sadness weighed heavily upon her. Her husband, the man who had once professed his love for her and called her perfect, hadn't shown up at the store. He hadn't come to apologize. He hadn't come demanding that she return home where she belonged. He hadn't even bothered to pick up the gallon of milk they needed. A quick glance at her schedule reminded her she had to be up at 6 the next morning. She hoped Dave or Claire wouldn't mind the early wake-up call. It's not that far, she muttered, stepping outside. I can walk. Dave flashed his truck lights, and she walked over to him. As she approached, she glanced back, uncertain if she hoped Tim would appear or feared his presence. But Tim was nowhere to be seen. Want to go check on him? Dave asked, assisting the silent Pam into the truck. No, Pam replied glumly. He's your husband, Dave remarked. Screw him, okay? Just send him, Pam shouted angrily. Upon arriving at 1220 Arrow Road, Claire drew the distraught girl onto the couch. Dave respectfully left them alone, while Claire whispered words of love and comfort to the quietly sobbing Pam. The next morning, Pam awoke feeling strangely rested. Dave grumbled good-naturedly as he drove her to work. After dropping Pam off at Rano's, Dave continued on to the apartment. Driving past, he didn't notice anything unusual and didn't stop. Next, he swung by Tornadoes and picked up a dozen donuts for Claire. "You're just trying to make me fat," she playfully teased, polishing off the last 3 still warm treats. "I just want you to be happy," Dave reassured her. "Do you love me?" she asked. "With all my heart," he assured her. "Then I'm happy," Claire replied nonchalantly, tasting a strawberry donut. During lunch, Pam called her mother. Mrs. Smith, to her credit, refrained from saying, "I told you so." Instead, she expressed concern about Tim possibly spiraling into drug addiction and urged Pam to return home where she belonged. "I'm staying at a friend's house right now," Pam stammered. She then dialed Tim's mother and informed Mrs. Godwin about Tim's troubling behavior and possible drug addiction. "Well, I'm not surprised," Mrs. Godwin snapped back bitterly. "God knows what else you've dragged my child into." "Yes, ma'am. I take full responsibility. I feel terrible about it, but I wanted to let you know so you could check on him," Pam sighed. "You married him, so it's your problem now," Mrs. Godwin shouted. "No, ma'am, I can't go through that again," Pam said firmly, ending the call. "Does Tommy know you're using the company phone?" Kurt, one of the butchers, teased. "No, and why don't you go ahead and tell him? I'm not interested in going out with you anyway, Kurt," Pam replied pointedly. "Remember, I'm married." Pam hoped that Mrs. Godwin might send Mr. Godwin, Tim's stepfather, to check on her husband's condition. Despite Alice's maternal love for Tim, it had waned upon seeing the state of their apartment, Tim's condition, and hearing his hurtful words. Still, Pam harbored no ill will toward Tim. At 4 o'clock, Pam smiled upon seeing Dave seated behind the wheel of the Tundra. Glancing around the parking lot, she didn't spot Tim anywhere. "As soon as Claire's ready, we're heading to Benito's, a new Italian place. Do you like Italian food?" Dave asked, helping Pam into the truck. Pasta? I guess judging by my figure, you could say I love Italian food," Pam replied with a self-aware smile. "Hey, let's not use words like fat," Dave gently corrected, squeezing her hand. "Okay, fair enough. So, yeah, I can tell you're a fan of pasta," he grinned. "I love you," Pam said, leaning across the console to kiss him passionately. They shared a lingering kiss before Dave started the car and drove out of the parking lot. In the parking lot, one of the bag boys remarked, "I thought her old man drove that Camry. When did they get a Tundra?" "Does she have a sister?" asked Kurt. "I got you," Claire replied, evading Kurt's question. Back at 1220 Arrow Road, Dave gently pulled away from Pam. They had been caught up in passionate kissing since they arrived home. However, Dave felt uneasy about this intimacy with Pam, without his wife present. "Come on, get dressed," he said softly. "I'm going to get Claire right now, okay?" Pam felt a pang of rejection, her insides tightening. She walked into the second bedroom. Although she didn't usually stay in this room, preferring to sleep in the big bed with Dave and Claire, there was no space in the master bedroom closet among Claire's and Dave's clothes for her own. "Hi," Claire interrupted Pam's thoughts. Pam managed a strained smile. "Dave told me you had everything sorted out," Claire accused. "Yeah, but he stopped," Pam quickly defended herself. "And I told him, 'Are you good to go when I'm not around? Surely when he's ashore and it's just you and me here, we'll want to make love. Do we have to wait for him to come in?" Claire asked, taking Pam's hand. "Love you," Pam agreed softly. "Come on, I'm dying to try their lasagna. 7 layers. It's supposed to be even better than the one at La Scalia," Claire exclaimed before darting out of the bedroom. Pam opted for a nice blouse and khaki pants. Her sandals had definitely seen better days. Nearly everything Pam owned had seen better days, but replacements were a luxury she couldn't afford. Then the reminder struck that rent was due, and they were already 2 days late. The landlord granted a 5-day grace period, though rent was officially due on the 1st and considered late only after the 5th. "His place," Pam muttered, stashing the money into her purse and transferring it to the underwear drawer on the dresser. "Let his mommy foot the bill." "You look adorable," Pam complimented, as Claire emerged in a short dress and strappy sandals. "Thanks," Claire beamed, twirling around. You're such a dork, Dave teased, pulling a face. But you look stunning, even in your birthday suit. Thanks, Captain Dorkface, Claire laughed. The waiter didn't card them, and Pam indulged in a rich red wine alongside 3-cheese ravioli. After their delightful meal, as they were preparing to leave, they overheard a woman's comment. God, if I were that fat, I'd never wear a dress like that in public. Claire smiled and turned to the woman, saying, And I would never say anything like that in public. I guess we're even, huh? Claire, you are my hero, Pam remarked as they settled into Claire's Ford Taurus. I agree, Dave chimed in. Well, that's true, Claire defended herself. If I were short, would it be okay to comment on it? Or, if I were of a different race, would it be okay to mention that? Remember, if you feel like making love, make love, Claire whispered in Pam's ear. With the day off, Pam helped Dave with yard work and various household projects. During their activities, they ran into their elderly neighbor, Walden Eichenbach, who was walking his yapping poodle. No, I'm not his wife, Pam smiled when Walden made that mistake. She's our guest, Dave clarified, uncertain how else to describe Pam. Oh, so you're on the market? Walden joked. Pam teased back, Really? Honey, if that were the case, I'd be here in no time, Walden smiled. But I'm 81 years old. What could a handsome man like you want with an old man, eh? The next day, Kurt inquired about the owner of the Tundra. Unfortunately for Pam, she worked behind the deli counter and was in close proximity to Kurt. Kurt, ask me out again and I'll file a sexual harassment report against you. Got it? Pam snapped. You think Tim knows about your boyfriend? Kurt threatened. Pam, line 3. Please. Dominic St. Charles's voice cut through the awful music. Pam's mother-in-law informed her that Tim had been admitted to DeHarda's chemical dependency unit that morning. Visiting hours, Mrs. Godwin began, sounding calmer already. I don't care. I won't be visiting him, but thanks for calling, Pam said firmly, hanging up. She almost smiled, imagining the effect her simple act of hanging up had on her overbearing mother-in-law. She could almost hear the woman's cry of outrage. Then Pam said a quiet prayer of thanksgiving. Tim would get the help he needed. Mrs. Godwin didn't give up. Pam knew she wouldn't. Daily calls begged her to visit Tim. You never said anything good about me before, Mrs. Godwin, Pam said after the 10th call. So why is it suddenly so important for me to see your son right now? Is this a personal call? Asked Tommy, the general manager. He asks. He loves you. He can't understand what's the matter, Mrs. Godwin said apologetically, never before having apologized to someone she considered poor white trash. Claire encouraged Pam to visit the young man. Let's see what he says, Claire advised. Who knows? Seeing him clean and sober might make you fall in love with him all over again. Pam swapped shifts with Woody, taking the evening shift at the liquor and cigarette counter so she could have the morning free to visit DeHarda's CDC. The building blended with others in brown brick, its purpose indicated only by a small sign. Inside, it resembled a hospital, with gleaming white walls, tiled floors, and plastic and chrome furnishings. After checking in, Pam informed the receptionist whom she had come to see, then settled into a chair to wait. Hello, Mrs., greeted a tall, slender man. I'm Dr. Whitmore. Hi, Pam replied, forcing a smile. You probably get told this all the time, but I swear you look like one of those... Oh my God, everyone's had one of those... What are they called? Dr. Whitmore chuckled, shaking Pam's small hand. Cupid doll? Pam supplied. Exactly, Dr. Whitmore agreed. In his modest office, Dr. Whitmore updated Pam on Tim's progress in the chemical dependency unit. Of course, I can only share this with you, even though you're his wife, because Tim gave us permission. But I couldn't say anything to his mother. God, she would have a fit. Dr. Whitmore rambled on. Pam nodded quietly. Well, I'm sure you must be eager to see him. How long has it been? Yes, 12 days, hasn't it? Dr. Whitmore asked. Actually, it's been 15 days. He didn't count the 3 days before he arrived, Pam corrected. No, he didn't. Apparently he was out and about, missing for a few days, Dr. Whitmore acknowledged. Pam chose not to correct him. She was the one who had disappeared. A few minutes later, Tim entered. He looked gaunt, pale, his dark brown hair greasy. He smiled genuinely and moved to hug Pam, but a hand against his chest halted him. Hey, wait. Hell, how long has it been since I've seen you? Tim snapped abruptly, anger flaring up. Tim, Dr. Whitmore cautioned. Going to go cuddle and get that stiff-arm shit? Tim barked. Tim, Dr. Whitmore warned again. I wanted to hug you, and I got this get off me, you fat-ass pig, Pam reminded Tim. Tim sat down in the other chair and stared at his wife. So, Tim, Pam and I were talking. Dr. Whitmore attempted to start a conversation. What happened to my ring, Tim? Pam interjected. And the car? Tim muttered something, his anger fading away. He couldn't look at Pam. Tim, Dr. Whitmore said. I'm a bit on drugs, Tim admitted. And the car? Asked Pam. Darwin gave me $500 for the car, Tim admitted. $500? Yes, that car is worth... Why did you get fired from Super One? Pam continued. I got in a fight with fat-ass Patrick, Tim said. Patrick Gernot, the manager? Great move, genius, Pam grinned. Mrs. Jordan, we're not here to... Dr. Whitmore tried to interject. Oh, and tell your damn mom I've never seen money for cell phones, Pam interrupted again. Tim, Dr. Whitmore said. Tim sat in the chair facing Craig Godwin and Dr. Whitmore, as his mother told Pam that she swore on her mother's grave that she took the money to PC Nation, and he had no idea why their phones weren't working. Oh, did Mom tell Jack? The landlord said he'd take us to court if we didn't pay, Tim said, avoiding Dr. Whitmore's unspoken question. Taking you, remember? My name doesn't have to be on the lease, Pam said. He wouldn't even give me a key, Pam told the doctor. I had to threaten to leave before he gave me a key to my own apartment. She stood up. The apartment I've been paying rent for. If that money ever got to the landlord, huh? She said. We're still... Dr. Whitmore began. I'm done, Pam stated firmly. As soon as I can, we're getting a divorce. I never should have married your sorry face. Baby, I'm sorry, Tim sobbed. Oh, I know you're sorry. You're the most pathetic mama's boy I've ever seen, Pam muttered, despite Dr. Whitmore's pleas for her to reconsider. She paused at the door. I'm glad you got clean and sober, Tim, she said. I really am. And who knows? Maybe someday, when you grow up, maybe you'll be a decent person. As Pam stepped outside, a warm breeze from the Gulf of Mexico greeted her. She turned her face towards the water, reflecting on her job, a lover, making a living for himself and his wife. She blew a light kiss to Dave in the air. Then she climbed into her friend's car. Tim had refused to give her the key to their apartment, just as he had never given her the keys to his car. On her keyring hung the keys to a Toyota Tundra, a Ford Taurus, the address 1220 Arrow Road, and a tiny Cupid doll figurine.